Okay. All right. So, couple things, guys. I've got, I've got what, 12 or 13 minutes to change your life. Uh, you know that this thing about Zillow, there's a new word that I'm coining, so I just want to let you right now know it. So if you hear this word being said, I invented it. It's called Zamazon. Zamazon. Okay. Zamazon. That's Zillow wanting to be Amazon. Okay. So they're going to Zamazon us. And the only way that you're going to know how to deal with Zamazon is to understand something that I don't think we talk about enough, because everybody's talking about you got to know your contracts, because Lucy's going to kick your butt if you don't know your contracts. And then Thomasina is going to, if you don't do your agency right. That's all well and good. But the one thing that we need to be able to combat Zamazon, because Thomasina already scared me when she told me what was going on in the state, is that we need to know how to combat that. So this whole month for all my clients, we're talking about personality styles. And I already said to you guys, and Manesh and these guys reiterated to me, if you haven't bought this book, you better buy it as soon as possible and start to study this book. Versatility selling is a key to understanding people, because you could be really good in contracts, you could be really good in all the other stuff, but you can be very lousy in understanding people. And that's half the battle, because we never learned that in real estate. No one taught you how to deal with people. Most of you are natural at just being nice people, and you want to hug people, you want to kiss people, and you want to just have a kumbaya moment. And guess who they list with? The person that looked like a consultant and an advisor. You can't have kumbaya moments. Now, some of you, when you have past clients and you've established yourself, you could hug and kiss. That's okay. But when you don't know somebody, you can't have kumbaya moments, because they're going to go to the person that is their consultant and advisor. So can I show you some things that's like a secret weapon that you can use? You guys are ready for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. One person out of 150 million people
Well,
said yes.
That's my fault.
All right, that's okay.
Who wrote that book? I can't find it.
Let me share my screen real quick, and I want to show. Oh, a disable share. Let me share my screen, Thomasina.
I'm working on it right now. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. I didn't warn you.
Sorry, I'm letting screen and
okay, ready? Host disabled.
Hold on. I got two things.
So anyway, there's 4 personality styles. As we get ready, I want you to understand who are you, so that you can understand, because really we only get along with maybe 2 out of the 4 styles, and 1 you're having a lot of problems with. And if you're looking to compete against other people in this marketplace, you've got to understand this. So let's go and just briefly share with you this. Okay, so you've got analytical, driver, amiable, and expressive. I don't care what personality testing you're going through. There's usually going to be 4 basic styles. Okay. And research and profiles, there's more than 10 million people that Wilson Learning has checked out, and that's really easy to understand. Now, closing personality styles is going to be very interesting. That's power over the competition. And it's very interesting that in this book, they talked about this is the unfair advantage that you have against your competition. The one thing that Zamazon can't do is to have that personal contact. So even though they could come in and take 60% of our market, which they could, guys. So don't sit here on your derrieres and relax, because 60% is going to hurt some of you. But if you understand how to deal with personalities, that's what Zamazon can't do. They can't sit there and have a one-on-one. But you know what they're doing? They're telling the consumer that you suck at customer service. And if I hear this guy one more time on television, what's that guy that always talks about? I know he comes in and he interviews his people. They're telling how great it is to work with this guy. He's spending millions of dollars taking your leads away from you, because he's saying that he has the best top agents, which is a bunch of BS, because what's basically happening is that you go in and pay for the service, and then you're now a top agent, which means that the consumer is still getting a sucky agent if they're going through that process. So you've got 4 styles. Now, what you need to understand is, which one are you? Which one are you? Okay, normally a good salesperson will probably be around this driver expressive situation. Okay, but directly opposite of your style is the one person that you're having a challenge with. So if you're analytical, you scare the hell out of an expressive. If you're amiable, like I hear this all the time, Bill, I made some physical calls and they were mean to me. Sound like my kid. They were mean. They were a meanie. Okay, that's because you're amiable. You cannot show people your personality style. And what's crazy about real estate is you walk into a real estate office, you can't wait to tell everybody who you are. That's fine. But when you're dealing with clients, you want to play poker. It's like what you're doing is you're showing your cards. Do you win if you show your cards? No, you lose. You want them to show you their cards. So versatility is a key. One of the few sources of competitive advantage that you could have left for salespeople. Proven fact. For you to compete, you have to have versatility. And here's what they've said, that an average agent loses 20 deals a year for the lack of versatility. Multiply that by your average commission. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay. You guys still with me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So, because, I don't want to make sure that I'm not losing you guys. Agents that focus primarily on strategic and competitive issues miss the single greatest opportunity to build a solid business. And that's versatility. You become them, right? You cannot sell the same way to every prospect or client. That's how we're going to beat your competition. I don't care if it's someone inside your geographic farm. I don't care if these companies come in and think they're going to take over the business. You cannot be a salesperson anymore. You have to be a consultant and an advisor. That means you have to be definitive in what you're saying. You can't go, well, I think we can do that. Or you tell me what price you'd like to list it at. That's called order taker. You might as well work at a customer service desk at wherever, because you're not going to be successful. So there's 3 basic steps to have versatility. And I really want you to understand this. This is not, oh, Bill's doing a subject because Tom Basita told me to come in. If you don't get this, you will not make it in 3rd or 4th quarter, period, because it's coming. And what happens with real estate people, unfortunately, you forgot how to study. This is one of my pet peeves. I only got a short amount of time, so you're getting a concentrated Bill Crespo moment here. Are you guys not getting it that you got a free opportunity to get into Path to Pro University, and some of you are still not in it? The stuff that I'm teaching is not your normal stuff. It's how to compete at a high level. I mean, I've got companies and agents paying a lot of money to be working with me. So, and it's, Thomasina, what's the word? It starts with an F. REE. To you. And it's not that I'm the greatest trainer in the world. Believe me, I've taken a lot of content.
Free. Sorry, late on that.
It's
Free.
okay. Always love participation, but that's okay. So watch. Guys, just use it. I've taken information that I've learned. I didn't invent anything. But here's what we have to do in situations with clients. Number one, you've got to pause and listen. You've got to listen. And you want to match the speed and listen to the words they're using so that you can determine their personality style, so that you automatically click into gear and work them the way they like to be communicated. Then you got to think, okay, so they said this, they said that, they're probably going to be this type of style. If they're a driver, I can't ask them about their family. A driver cares less about your family and doesn't want you to know about their family. They don't care if you love their drapes or love their couch. They want you to show results. And then what you do is you apply what you know is the right way of communicating. Pause, think, okay, this is what this person is, and then apply the words. It's so important, okay? Versatility is not what you say, it's how you make someone feel. Very, very important. So they feel that you are someone of authority, you have influence, that you're a consultant, you're going to take my hand and help me get through this. But Bill, there's so much competition out there. It doesn't make any difference. It's how you make someone feel. Do they feel comfortable Remember, someone who's amiable, like someone who's very emotional, they need to feel that you can walk them through this process and take care of them. Are you aware of your personality? Some of you are very shy. You got to get over it if you're in sales. I mean, if you want to work 9 to 5, you can stay shy. But when you're in this business of sales, but Bill, you said consultant, not sales, but we're in sales, but you're displaying yourself as an advisor and a consultant. You got to get over yourself quickly, because in third or fourth quarter, the stuff hits the fan. It does, because you're going to be fooled by the economic numbers rising. Hey, things are going to be great. No problem. Well, guess what? Inflation kicks in. More listings stay on the market. Prices stay high. People can't afford it because mortgage rates go up. We have 3 million people that are going to hit the market at some point because they're underwater in their house, because they were on a forbearance for a long time. Some will be able to extend it. My clients right now, I had a guy list 4 houses that were under forbearance. So as you're prospecting, you're going to come across these people and they need some help. Versatility is what they need from you. So they typically feel this when they want to work with you. First of all, trust. What is trust? A firm belief, right? Relations have to be built on trust. So subconsciously, when you work with someone, when they feel trust from you, the little invisible fence comes down. You need to be honest, right? The definition of honest is someone or something that is truthful, trustworthy, or genuine. They like, sometimes when you're working with an amiable person, they want to know that you have kids. They want to know that you had a bad day. It's just natural, and that works well with amiables and expressives. The analyticals and the drivers care less about what happened to you that day. They don't care. It's like, don't tell me about the pain, just show me the baby. Okay? So you can't talk that way. So if you change that, they feel connection with you. So these are all based on what Robert Cialdini said in the book, Influence, Science, and Practice. Subconsciously, people feel comfortable when they feel that they can trust you, that you're honest, and that you're an expert. You have knowledge or skill in what you do, okay? So what you need to work on is also when you meet someone for the first time, you got to let them know something about you, and also let them know that you know something. Like years ago, I sold dental franchises. I knew one word. Some of you know the story. I knew one word when I sold dental franchises in dentistry, but they thought I knew everything about dentistry. So somebody that are new, just learn a couple things, then you talk about it like you know it all. Like I would talk to the hygienist. They go, you know, I was talking to the other hygienist the other day. She had a little problem with the epithelial attachment with the other patient she had. It was so interesting. They go, oh, really? Yes. And they thought I knew everything about dentistry. So to be an expert, you do need to demonstrate that when you first meet someone on the phone or in person. They need to know that you're a consultant and an advisor, not a salesperson. And some of you have to change your personality. You cannot be yourself with everybody. And that's my secret for the day. Okay, questions on that? Does that make sense, you guys? Yes? No? Open up. I want to hear you guys.
Yes.
Why does that make sense?
Because everything goes on trust. Like I know you might not, you don't have to be the best person out there, but if they don't trust you, you're not going to go anywhere. You know, everything starts with trust.
Okay, what was the biggest point today that you stuck in one of your guys' heads today that really made sense for you? What stuck in someone's head?
For me, what's stuck in my head
To
was that
be
you
a consultant.
Okay, what was that, Miranda? I'm sorry.
You cannot be yourself. You have to be pretty much the person that they want you to be at that moment.
And that's tough because I've always liked me, right? You, me. So you have to transform. 2 books, right? This, learn how to have versatility, study it, read it like you've never studied anything before. And then just if you're having troubles transforming into another person, you want to read this book, Alter Ego, right? Todd Herman, because he coached people on how to have that transformation on the football field, in their sports. Highly critical so that you become what they want you to become to help them go where they want to go. So I think I'm done. Is that okay, Thomasino? Did I give enough juice?
You sure did.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Hey, please show up on my calls that Thomasina's gone out of her way to make sure everybody has a link to my Zoom sessions. I know there's a lot of crap out there, but the crap that's out there is not good enough for what you need in third or fourth quarter. I'm teaching what's good enough because you got to fight against Amazon. See ya. Bye.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let Sarah have the floor now. Sarah, go ahead, and then Austin, you're up after Sarah. Sarah, do you need me to have you share the screen or no?
No, I was just joining in to, just say hi, you guys. I wanted to participate in the meeting this morning and just, remind you I'm with Prosper Insurance. We've got a CE course coming up next Tuesday, which is really going to be a great one. So that's Tuesday, the 16th. And the topic is going to be E&O insurance for property managers. And our commercial manager, Ryan Tinney, who is super vibrant and energetic and charismatic, will be putting that on for you guys next Tuesday. So it's good for 1 hour elective CE credit. And again, the topic is E&O, so errors and omissions insurance for property managers. And yeah, that's it. I look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, Austin, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay.
There you are.
Hey. So I don't know about this sharing screen stuff. I don't have a screen to share other than this right here. No, I figured right now is things are ramping up. We're amping up. We're getting contracts in. A lot of you guys are sending stuff to us. And I thought it would be a good time to sort of step back and talk about, what we need to make sure that your deals close successfully, what we can do to help you guys be successful on getting to the closing table. So I'm just going to talk about basically what choosing the settlement agent, what your settlement agent needs, what we do, and kind of the behind the scenes aspect of this process here. So I'll start just kind of very basic. I mean, and you guys all know this, that buyers in Virginia by law have the right to choose their own settlement agent. That's in every contract. The buyer has the choice, but obviously most of the times they're going to look to you, their professional, to go, okay, well, who do you recommend? And then that's when obviously you're able to make the recommendation to use an attorney or a title company. But that is by law. Occasionally we do get calls from folks that say, hey, this, the builder is saying we need to use their person. Is that the case? And we explain, no, absolutely not. You do not have to use their person. Their lender, their closer, anything. They cannot dictate to you who you use to close the deal. Now they can incentivize it, of course, and that's mostly what we'll see is, hey, the builder will sell for this price. If you close with their person, however, we'll give you, certain percentage towards your closing costs. So they figure out a way to sweeten the deal. And in those instances, we have had a lot of folks say, hey, we're going to use their person, but we'd still, my clients would still like to have somebody independent taking a look at the documentation. And that's something that we'll do. So if you're in an instance like that where you find, buyers looking towards possibly using somebody else or using somebody that represents the seller, you can pose that out there. Hey, we'll take a look at what they have. We'll, depending on the time involved, we usually charge a fee for that. Especially just depending on what they're asking for. I've been involved from contract negotiation all the way to the closing. Or I've just said, hey, here are the closing documents. Can you look at it? And that takes no time at all because they're virtually the same in every transaction. So step one is sort of choosing the settlement agent. And then there's what we need So the first thing that's going to come over, and a lot of you I know work with coordinators that sort of handle this thing for you. And sometimes it's good just to make sure that everything's getting sent over the way we need it. Obviously, the purchase agreement seems obvious, but there's countless times where I get an EMD check and we have no contract. We don't know what file it's for. We get a wire, we get somebody putting it on a debit card, and no contract. And I've got an EMD check sitting on my desk right now. I've no idea where this contract is. Nobody has it. Hasn't been sent to us. So sometimes the ball is dropped, and it's obviously a good thing to make sure that that gets over to us. Something that often doesn't come over is the PICRA. There'll be substantial changes often made to the contract at the PICRA phase. And I'm sitting down at the table and we're unaware of it. Oh, there's a home warranty. Well, we didn't hear anything about that. Oh, there's going to be credit for listing repairs. We didn't know about that. So it's always a pretty good thing. I mean, sometimes some PICRAs are better than others. But generally speaking, we're going to need to see that PICRA to know what invoices to expect. Our paralegals are going to do their best to go behind and make sure, okay, do we have invoices for every one of these repair items? And we're going to kind of run a cross check to, in an effort to make you, make us all seem like we're prepared on this thing. So obviously a good thing to make sure. Any addendums, of course, those are good things to send over. Our joke here is we're often the last to find out. Closing date changes, contract changes, sales price changes. We're usually the last ones to know. So you want to send those over. HOA condo resale certificates, also a good thing. I've had several times, it's never a fun conversation to have me sit down at the closing table and open up that HOA or condo resale certificate and point out the violations, the covenant violations that were discovered at the inspection. And talk about how you had 3 days from the date of receiving this to have these addressed. And, the agent the buyer looks at the agent looks at me, I look back at the agent. That's an awkward conversation there. And we're always going to try to go behind and make sure that we're noticing if there are any violations on there. But as things get busier, you definitely don't want to rely on us to catch that. Oftentimes the agents, you're going to be the first one to see that. You're going to send it to the buyer and they're going to assume that you've read it. They're not going to look at it. Obviously there are exceptions to that, but they're getting 1,000 emails a day on this transaction. So, you definitely want to go behind and check that out. Invoices, of course, I talked about that. You want to make sure that we have for repairs, home warranty, termite moisture treatments, all of that. Make sure that gets sent over to us. We need buyer information, accurate names, status. Are these married couples? Are they engaged, not yet to be married? Sometimes you can't tell anymore, if folks are married or not. So that's going to lead to questions on how names are going to appear on title, how they're going to be on deed, tenancy language, things that we're going to need to know. So that's a good thing to make sure to get to us. On the list side, obviously we need to have, seller information. Is this an estate situation? Do we have multiple people selling this property because they inherited the property, or did they all buy this together? Power of attorney, that's a big one. We want to make sure if somebody is signing by a power of attorney, we need to have the original power of attorney here in the office and be delivered to the settlement agent, because they're going to have to record that power of attorney with the deed. And occasionally we'll have some folks that, this is the only power of attorney that they have, and they're a little hesitant about releasing it. If you have that sort of situation, we can actually electronically record that power of attorney here in the office and give it back to them if they're concerned about it. So if you ever run in a situation like that where this is the only power, it's a general power perhaps, and then get a spouse overseas, let us know. We can make arrangements to have that taken care of. Obviously, if it's an entity, we'll need to see corporate docs. We'll need to, operating agreements, bylaws. We'll need to see who has the authority to sign on behalf of the entity itself. If there's a mortgage, we're going to need mortgage account numbers. We're going to need social security numbers. Some folks are hesitant. Well, why do you guys need the social security number? Well, that's a requirement. When real property is sold, the settlement agent is going to have to report the details of the transaction, and we're going to need socials from the seller to do that, to run PACER searches as well. Forwarding address, of course, we'll need that, and a lot of this we can get from the clients themselves, but it's a good thing to make sure you're prepping folks so that they're not I had a client last week that was blindsided about an email for a social security number, very concerned, didn't know why I needed to provide that. Well, who's this going to go to? Do I have to provide this? We have to have that conversation. Now, what the settlement agent does, first thing when that contract comes in, we're going to be ordering title. That is the first step. You may, even if somebody doesn't want title insurance, we're not going to do a closing without ordering title. That is step one. We have to find out, basically who's on first, who owns this property, who can sign to sell it, what do they have, what's it subject to. So that title search gets ordered immediately. Takes anywhere from 7 to 10 days. Common question I'm getting now is, how quickly can we get this thing closed? We got a buyer ready, willing, able. We need to close this thing in 4 days. Like, that's probably not going to happen. The driver is going to be getting that title back, and depending on the city, you're looking at a 7 to 10 day turnaround to get that back. Once the title commitment is received, we're going to take a look at it and find out if there are any liens, find out who owns the property, if the person on the contract is in fact the party that is showing up in the land records as the owner. Oftentimes there's different things you got to do to get to that point. The title may show a dead person owns it. And we're not aware that, okay, actually this person has passed, and now the son and daughter are selling the property, whatever the case may be. So we're going to receive that, and then that title commitment, send it out and say, hey, this is what we need, and start working on getting those title requirements satisfied. Surveys, oftentimes, now that there's a block in the contract for buyers to say, hey, they desire or they waive a survey. For the folks that desire a survey, that's something to make sure that somebody's following up on. Sometimes we may not see that block, and it's a good thing, whoever you're dealing with, whichever paralegal you're working with, to follow up behind, send an email. Hey, did you notice about this survey? And sometimes folks want us to order the surveys. We work with gobs of different surveyors in the area. We'll send out the email for you and say, hey, give us a quote on this. We can send out usually 2 or 3 different folks to find out what the quotes would be, and then we push it back to you guys or to the client directly to say, hey, here are the options. Which one do you want to go with? But that's something good, you want to make sure to follow up on, and that we don't sit down at the closing table and go, actually, well, hey, they did want a survey. And we're all just sort of looking at each other like, well, at this point, it's a little late. It usually takes surveyors are busier and busier now, but you're looking probably a 2-week turnaround to get surveys back from most folks. So you can always ask the seller if they've got one. That's something that we'll see a seller in a transaction is willing to turn it over. And that saves the buyer some money, usually anywhere from $300 to $500, depending on the size of the lot. If your buyer plans to, put in a pool or do anything major like that, those are going to, you actually have to, that'll be a reason that they need to get a survey, and they're going to want to make sure that survey is accurate. Usually spend that type of money on an improvement. You want to be darn sure that the person who drew you a map is insured and you can rely on that map. You know, and if you can't, that you can turn around and look to their E&O coverage. We're going to put together the CD, the settlement statement. We're going to send those documents out, and you're going to usually get copies of that beforehand, just to also put eyes on it, make sure the commission's on there, make sure all the invoices are on there. Any sort of admin fee is listed. We're going to put together the closing documents. We're going to schedule closings. You know, to this point, we still have discouraged agents from coming, but you know, everybody's kind of seeing the trends on this thing and the pandemic and seeing where things are going. I suspect that trend would probably be reversed at some point, and we're going to look to see more folks at closing. We're going to record, we're going to conduct the settlement, record the documents, and then disperse funds. So those are, you know, if we're on a seller side and you want to make sure that your commission is wired, that communication needs to be had with us so that we can let the buyer side know that, hey, that here's an expectation that the agent would like their commission wired. Oftentimes we don't hear from folks, or, you know, we're on the buyer side. If we're on the buyer side, I get called from listing agents. Hey, why is my check in the mail? It's like, well, we sent the form over to your company that was handling your side of the transaction, and they just sent it back to us. We never got anything signed. We never heard one way or the other how you wanted your commission check handled. So it's in the mail. You know, so reach out, make sure you're proactive on that as far as making sure those instructions are delivered. Post-closing. Thomasina, I can't hear you.
Well, let me see. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So I wanted to talk real quick because of the seller situation. So we had a situation yesterday. You guys had emailed one of the agents. Thank you so much for that, by the way. We're on the selling side, and of course, we got the docs to you the minute we listed it. The buyer side, they wanted to use you as well. And so you guys had sent an email to us saying, hey, you get to choose, obviously, if you will allow them or you won't. Can you just go through that process of why that has to be done that way and what the ramifications are if they do choose to have both sides use you? Side note before you start that, anytime we have a listing, get that paperwork directly over to Austin, because you don't want to wait until you have a contract, because if the buyer gets it there first, they have the ability to say, no, you can't use Jones Walker and Link, right? So the minute we list it, before we ever get a contract, you make sure you let Jones Walker and Link are going to represent your seller before you have a contract. The minute you list it, because that puts us first, and we get to decide if the other side can utilize Jones Walker and Link. Okay, Austin, your turn.
Absolutely, yes. Early bird gets the worm, and nowadays it's happening more and more where you know, it's always interesting to me, but yeah, whoever reaches out first. I mean, we don't like to pick favorites, so we just have to go, okay, well, who got us the contract first? So yeah, we can handle both sides of the transaction. We are capable of doing that, but the conversation we have with both parties, we say is, hey, you know, that we can take care of this, we can get this thing closed, we can do it for both sides. But the minute there's a problem, you know, we can't negotiate on behalf of one of you for the other if we're doing both sides. You're both our clients at that point. So it sort of ties our hands on you know, the typical thing that we could do for folks when we handle their transaction. You know, when an issue comes up, we you know, in the normal case where we're representing either a buyer or sellers, we can go to the other side and negotiate and work and try to reach a resolution, you know, and serve our clients in that capacity. But when we've got both sides, we can't talk out of both sides of our mouths. I mean, we can try to see if, you know, this thing can work, if there's a common ground here. But if one party says, no, it needs to be this way, and the other party says, it needs to be this way, at that point we go, okay, well, you guys have to work this out between yourselves. We can't, in that regard, we're Switzerland, I guess, or Sweden at that point. We're in the middle. You both need to have your own counsel to work with you and negotiate. So, that's something that you need to be aware of. And I think you can probably get a sense of it early on, like how the negotiations go, how your communication with the other agent goes. If you're working with some folks that are, know what they want and know what they need, usually when I'm talking to the agents, I say, if you're savvy and you know what you want, and your clients are comfortable with what they want, that's a transaction where I feel more comfortable with than, you have maybe someone who's a little more hesitant, a little more cautious, wants to be certain of everything, and maybe a little more risk averse. That's going to be the person that's going to maybe look to you and go, hey, what should I do in this instance? I need your help me with this. And obviously if I'm tied, representing the other side, I'm not going to be able to do that as effectively. So we'll need your help on making that call. But yeah, Thomasina's right. The best way to do is put yourself in the first position for us to say, hey, if we have to choose, you're going to be the one we choose with because you got that contract to us first. So that was, great. That situation did come up, and that was an instance where everybody, obviously wanted us to handle it. So that worked out. Yeah.
Thank you, Austin.
Good question. And I'm pretty much, that's kind of the end of, what I wanted to talk about is just sort of, how we can put you guys in the best position possible, in the best light possible, to have us to where we can all look good in front of the clients and to do our jobs well. So, are there any other questions in that regard? Anybody, have anything that has come up and something that they want to talk about as far as getting to closing?
Hey, Austin, I have a quick question, sir.
Hey, Adam. Yeah, absolutely.
So my question is, can for the purpose of protecting my buyer client, I have a ratified contract. Can a material defect caused by a property management company because there's a tenant for another 5 months, can that cause any liability after my buyer closes? And I can give you the specifics if you want.
So let's see, your buyer's looking at closing. The tenant is still in the property and going to be for another few months after closing, and the property is going to continue to be managed by the property management company. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, and the property manager, he said he smelled a lot of drugs inside, and I asked him if he was going to report it, and he said no, they don't report their tenants. So I reported him, the property manager, to the Hampton police. I just want to protect my client if he does close on this house in Hampton, and it's a title company doing the closing, so I don't have an attorney to ask. How can I protect my client if there's some kind of illegal stuff going on with the tenant and the property manager allows it? Because most of the tenants are underage, so there's no.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure I'm protecting my client.
Yeah. Typically, Adam, as an owner of a property, that is subject to a lease agreement. Your owner is not going to really have any liability.
Okay.
Unless in some way or another he's sort of allowing it, encouraging it, that sort of thing.
No.
That's a different situation. But yeah, in this case, it's professionally managed.
Okay.
And there are property managers handling it. So. Yeah, I wouldn't be overly concerned from that regard. I would be concerned, however, from the condition of the property. If you have a situation where you've got a tenant who's engaging in that sort of activity,
Yes, sir.
are you going to get the security deposit back? Or do they plan to get the security deposit back? Are they going to leave it in broom clean condition? Are they going to have the carpet steam clean and the chimney inspected? Maybe not. I don't know. I've met some. I'll leave that. Every case is different, I guess. So that would be my concern. To hear you say that, I go, well, does he really want to close with the tenant still in there,
Sure.
and not get this property in the same condition that he, agreed to purchase it at? So
Wonderful answer. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me see. I got a call coming in. If I can. Am I still there? Okay. Sorry. Anything else? Any other questions? All right. Am I on mute?
I think that's all.
Okay.
I didn't hear anyone else. I mean, no one else spoke of any combo with
Sorry.
Austin before we let him go. Okay, thank you, Austin. I appreciate you. Thank you
Good
so
to see you
much.
guys. Alrighty.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too.